Hi there. I see a lot of support players struggle to find a good balance between not dying and still doing work. And the problem are not the heroes themselves, but rather the players having a passive mindset because they don't understand the role, for example. Others do not see how they actually hold back their team through their positioning alone. Positioning for support players is crucial because they build and hold together the structure of the team. They're the ones setting the limits. For heroes with mobility or limited range, like Mercy, Lucio, or Moira, where they move to or at what range they should be playing is basically built in the kit and obvious. But for Zenyatta and especially Ana, but also Brig and even Baptiste players sometimes, I consistently see the same issues. And the rank unfortunately doesn't even matter. It happens in gold just as much as in 4.5k scrims. A lot of support players think if they play far away from the battlefield, they will be safe. Although the gap between you and the fight is important to consider, distance alone should not be taken as the idea to play around. The reason are passive players who don't really do that much. And without realizing, they actually put themselves and the team often in more danger. Therefore, distance does not make you safe. Of course, standing right in front of the enemy team or inside your own tanks makes you an easy target. Distance has the advantage that the opponents need to spend more time and resources to get onto you, but there are limits because of enemy cover and your own value. The most effective and easiest way to dodge poke damage are corners. By simply going behind cover, you can avoid any heroes who are shooting at you from afar. The enemy team, however, can use that too, which means for non-mobile heroes, it will be hard to continue dealing damage or to chase them once they take one step back. DPS characters solve this issue by taking angles, but for support heroes this should only be done in special situations, so they need to find a different solution most of the time, like playing a little bit closer. Long distance also means less damage from you. Projectile heroes have a hard time hitting shots, most hit scan weapons will have fall off, and as a melee based hero you won't deal any damage at all. This is why you will also have way less playmaking potential. For example, Zen will have an inconsistent or low damage output, and Ana won't be able to land any meaningful anti-nades on the enemy team. By playing too far away from the enemy team, support heroes will have a very hard time to lift their own weight and to carry team fights. The argument with cover can be applied here as well. If your team is engaging or chasing the enemy team, they will most definitely go around corners and outside of your line of sight. This forces your teammates to either not be aggressive at all or to risk to die every time they want to go deeper. By playing closer to the team and moving forward with them, you will be able to keep up the support even after the engagement. If not, you are literally holding back your team by preventing them from getting more value instead of supporting them to get further kills. The bigger problem for yourself by playing ranged is peeling. It's very hard for the heroes who should peel for you to be an active member in the fight while also being able to peel for you if you are far away. This creates a very awkward moment for heroes like D.Va or Brig, for example. They want to go in as well and fight and follow up on engages and brawl. But if they push up, they leave you alone, which makes you incredibly vulnerable to flankers. If they don't push up, they can help you with threats, but they're completely useless for the fight itself. If you play closer, they can deal damage, but still have the opportunity to quickly turn around and help. This is a lot easier to work with, so make sure that you are playing around the effective ranges of your teammates. Instead of going for pure distance to the main fight, you want to give your positioning a bit more thoughts and also rather play around open spaces. For this part I'm stealing the 4 golden rules of positioning made by Natter, an ex-top level contenders coach. He has a lot of strong macro stuff on his Twitch and YouTube, so it's definitely worth checking him out. First are corners. This is something everybody in the lobby should have. You should always have some form of cover right next to you. If you want to live through a flank or an engagement, then you need to stop taking damage immediately. Walking backwards in a straight line won't accomplish that. But quickly going around the corner will break the line of sight to the opponent. If they can't see you anymore, they can't shoot you. And as I said earlier, it's also very helpful against any form of poke damage, because you can just take one step back into safetyness. Secondly is LOS. When choosing a corner, you want to be in a position where you have a good overview of the fight. You want to be able to keep track of what is going on and see all of your teammates if possible, while not having to move your camera as much. Furthermore, you want to look into open space. If the enemy team needs to walk through open space to reach you, it means you can see and shoot them early on. It makes it easy to disrupt engages, and baiting them into the open also allows your team to take multiple angles, but never be the one standing in the open yourself. Third is distance to angles. Here is where sheer distance is helpful. When people put their attention towards the main fight, they will be vulnerable from an attack outside their view. Those flanks are dangerous when done quickly and stealthily, but if you get a lot of distance between your corner or your position and these angles, it will truly be hard to kill you. The fourth point from Natter are rotation options. This means you always want to be able to move to different locations. We always want to move from corner to corner, so having the option to push forward to another one gives more enabling power and keeps up the support. But this goes for other things too. Having the option to kite back to another safe area is essential too. Also, rotating in general, counter-rotating, or quickly going for a small angle yourself is also very handy. Last, awareness is worth mentioning too. If you anticipate pushes and keep looking around and consistently check flanks, you will make it hard for the enemy team to surprise you no matter the distance. Risk versus reward means how much we invest or how vulnerable we make us compared to how much value we get. Value is any meaningful impact in the game, something like getting a kill, forcing out cooldowns, helping out a teammate, etc, etc. Important for support players is not to be stuck in a healing only mindset. Healing is only one form of supporting, which is why you're not playing healers, but supports. To win a fight, we need damage, because this is how we get kills or force the enemy team to use cooldowns in situations that don't benefit them. Therefore, damage wins fights. Healing doesn't. It's nice and helpful, no doubt, but healing alone doesn't carry fights. This is why heal botting is the lowest reward we can get out of a support hero. The goal is to get the biggest possible reward and then figuring out how to tune down the risk. This can be improved through pure practice, confidence, or creativity. What you want is to enable your team through your own damage, angle support, anti-nades, sustain cooldowns other than healing, damage amplification, speed boost, etc. to help them get kills. Most people are concerned about the risk though, but the risk is containable by a bunch when playing with cover and the team. My point is that you should go for rewarding plays rather than being scared or AFK. Now let's put everything together and look at quick examples. Being stuck at these positions is very bad. It's easy to get spammed out by someone like Afara. LOS wise, you can't see anything but this area, so you can't support this connector or this side or point or coast, and you also can't go anywhere. If you kite, you go outside of team's LOS. If you drop and push forward, you go in open space and get killed. The peeling is also very awkward and awful because the fights will be somewhere maybe over here, over here, over here, or somewhere onto point. So if you go too far away, there's no help for this person, but if they stay here, they will put out 0 damage. You could be playing at this corner over here, it has similar LOS, and you have a roof above you so you can't get dived, but you can move alongside this lane. Another position would be down here at this corner, or down here. Again, same LOS, with a little support towards connector, or you can rotate towards point or coast to support your team over in that area. If your team wants to punish enemy rotation over in this area, or they want to fight inside this room over here, you never want to be stuck all the way back here. You have very bad sightlines, and it's easy to get you distracted by flankers. Peeling again is very awkward because if the person playing with you plays back here, they can't do anything for the fight, but if they push up alone, then they leave you alone. The solution is, as a support, you have to push forward. Don't play here, don't play here, don't play here, don't play here, play on this corner where you will have direct impact over here and you can move forward with your team. Any flankers will not be any problem because your team can simply turn around and deal with them. Very common position on this map is to play over here, which again gives you a ton of problems. There's gonna be zero follow up on this area over here. You have barely any impact over in this area, and if the team is fighting in this area, then it's gonna be a bit awkward for you because you have to look down. Better is always to start on the high ground. You have sightlines over here. Of course, be aware of snipers. You can also kite away back here or go on a quick flank from this side. You can kite around back to this corner or somewhere in these general areas. Also, playing underneath high ground is not bad either. You can heal this corner when your team is holding over here, and you have a quick flank you can use for nades or 5 orbs as in to put pressure into this area. If you want to play further away, then play inside this room over here. You have a roof above you, you can't get dive. You have a mini you can use. The sideline is fine to support this area here and to keep an eye on to this flank, and you have the option to rotate back to this corner over here, which will be more useful later in the fight. Another bad example would be to play somewhere in this area. You have a tiny bit of cover with these plants, but it's not really enough. You still can get spammed out. And also, where do you go from here? You can only push forward into open space. Don't want to push into here because that leads to nowhere. This move is too long, so your only option is to go back to this corner anyway. But all of this is open space, so you're going to be very exposed. In conclusion, your distance to the enemy team should be limited, and your distance to your own team should be short. If the enemy team doesn't have any flankers, or your team can help you fast and effectively from further away, then there is a bit more room. But you should always consider your team's peeling distances and enemy flankers or poke. Remember the 4 points of positioning: corner, LOS, distance to angles, rotation options. Just because you're playing a support hero doesn't mean you should be heal botting. Actively look for value. Don't be scared and go for proactive and aggressive plays. High reward first, then tune down the risk. Also try to be less predictable. Move to different places every now and then. Change it up. Push up with your team. Don't be stuck with a stationary playstyle. This video was for a smaller group of players, but it was important for me to bring the word out. It's crazy to me how many players don't understand it and yet keep doing it over and over, although they get punished for it every time. Of course, it's not a hard rule, there are always exceptions, but it's a nice habit of doing. If you're interested in personal coaching, I'm offering free sessions for teams and players of all this hour. Just hit me up on Discord. For the end, I wanted to say that I appreciate all the support and kind words for my last video. Also, big thanks to Kajer for including me in some of his videos. That was a huge help.